पानी की हर बूंद की अपनी कहानी है। किस बादल से बरस, किस पर्वत से निकल, किस नदी से लिपट, किस धरा से टकरा आपके ग्लास तक आई है। आज ये जानना बहुत जरूरी है, जिससे सबके ग्लास में पानी बना रहे। क्या आपके आसपास भी कोई पानी की कहानी है? जुड़िए पानी की कहानी इनिशिएटिव से। पानी की कहानी.org से जुड़ें। जानकारी के लिए संपर्क फॉर्म जरूर भरें। लोकल के लिए वोकल बने। नव प्रवर्तक पोर्टल्स भारतीय इंजीनियरिंग द्वारा स्वदेश में ही निर्मित एवं संचालित हैं। आज ही अपना खुद का पोर्टल बुक करें।
First of all, I need to thank Vikram and Dr. Dine. When Vikram came and asked me that I have to, he invited me to come here. First reaction was because it was too late for me. I said no, I won't come. But I'm an urban planner, and everywhere where I go, I'm used to getting bashing. But I'm still interested in cities. So I thought, yes, I should come. And believe me, it has been a very, very enriching experience. For the last 2 days I've been here, and it has been just overwhelming, and it has been very, very, creative and innovative type of work that people are doing. So what I will do is I'll dwell on today's discussion. But before I go, I spent quite a lot of time in Gujarat, in Ahmedabad, and as you know, Gujarat is, quite down-to-earth people. So. And since I was teaching in planning school, where studios are more important than, of course, one of the major components of what exactly you are doing, the theory, one of the students, I went to his room, and he has written something very interesting, and that is why I think the relevance of your work. He had written in his, small little board, those who can, they do. Those who cannot, they teach. And today when I listen to Professor Dinesh, I think the work they are doing is you are transgressing this boundary. Many a times academics have always been thought to be in the teaching mold, but you are doing something. And I think that, cutting across the boundary, I think that is where the relevance of this whole work I see. The relationship between the academia, I think the public policy makers, the community, I think that is very, very important domain. And therefore, I think this particular initiative by JNU, by your team, I think is very, very relevant, and I think that is what is needed in today's world. I also remember, when I went first teaching in the planning school, one of my senior, he told me, you are getting into teaching, please read one book. I said, what was that? And he says, Paulo Freire's Pedagogy of the Oppressed. And it is very interesting that when Professor Dinesh was telling, and I remember that book, because since planning was more action-oriented, the quote I remember still is, in that particular book, Paulo Freire talks about action, reflection, and action. Though it is written in the context of political and community empowerment, but when today you are talking about, if academics don't bring some of their knowledge to active field, and if you don't reflect, and if the community doesn't reflect, then there is neither a generation of knowledge, nor you can act on a new innovative manner. What you will do is, you will go on repeating the old, type of ideas. Then it also related to me to, this particular, I see this your initiative as a movement. Movement initiated by the community, the people, or the civil society. And again, Manuel Castle talks about this famous book, Urban Social Movement. And of course, he's talking about a little bit type of a radical type of movement, but I still consider that this particular initiative by, but it has the, ability to influence policymakers, including the politicians. Therefore, I take it also as a social movement which has tremendous potential to, transform society, integrating different stakeholders. Professor Dinesh also talked in the beginning, and since I'm basing it based on what I heard today, you talked about, different types of stakeholders, involving the community, and you also emphasized about the middle class. Yes, many times we today in the neoliberal context, the middle class activism is supposed to be very important. You must have heard about, that famous Rasta ke beech mein, what is it called? Delhi also did that. When the traffic is blocked and everybody is doing yoga and dancing, Rahagiri, that is trying to occupy the space for the pedestrians or the common people. But I think, yes, the more important part is certainly the middle class has to be involved. Middle class has to be involved so that they don't remain in their comfort zone. They have the ability to link it up with the, the difficulties of the people or the grassroots people they are dealing with. The other important thing that you also mentioned about was old and new Gurgaon. I think for me that is important. There is always a binary or a division of cities, between different groups, either based on ethnicities or, old, new, and whatever it may, gated, not gated. But you please remember one thing, cities are supposed to be diverse. As some ways, there are differences and boundaries. Okay, so the challenge of this type of movement that you have initiated is, how do you cross that boundaries? How do you engage communities so that those boundaries are blurred? I think that is where, I think this particular, the whole, the works of the last 2 days I've been listening, I thought was very, very useful. You involve all type of stakeholders, but I was little not very impressed with one thing, and it is a suggestion from me, don't take it otherwise. If you think the developers are the culprit, why are they not here? You see, if you think Gurgaon is developed by the developers, and if they are the guys who are consuming and destroying the water bodies, how the hell they are not here? Are we simply overlook them? Or is it a design? Of course, it must not be a design. I'm just provoking. Don't take it otherwise. I feel that
it is partly design and partly there was a DLF foundation brigadier yesterday sitting in the front row and sat till the end.
No, but when I say that they have to be here, but when I say they have to be here, they have to be engaged in a constructive discussion. Because why I'm telling you that, simple reason is because since I, involved in planning and, because we were also part of the GNNURM nodal agency, I've seen how the municipalities work. It is very easy to blame the municipalities. But if you go and look at what condition they work, it is very, very difficult, So the reason why I was trying to take about the developers is because, developers have their own problem. So if we are as a stakeholder trying to listen to everybody, I think we need to listen to our enemies also. They also have many stories to tell. If you don't listen to group, they will always think, oh, these guys are elite group, they talk about water, they talk about environment, they never engage with us. You see, that's as simple as it is, Then the other thing I also observed was, of course, you must be doing it, but since I am talking about what I am saying is, yeah, why are the local politicians not here, the councillors,
They were there yesterday.
No, but, what I mean to say, they were here, but we would like to hear to their voices, what are their grievances? I'm sure they also have some grievances to tell, they are facing problems. If water is so scarce for everybody, it is not that they cannot,
Different phases, sir. I'll talk about it. You have very good points, very good.
No, but see, I am only commenting on what I saw today. So
Correct.
don't take it otherwise.
Take it otherwise, it's a very positive thing.
So, and I also like the thing that you talked about the process part of it. I think, by the way, one thing I have to tell you, cities are not static entities. They are always evolving. You see? So since you talked about the sustainability of institutions, the problem in India is because our institutions are static. They are not evolving. Our problems and challenges are always evolving, but our institutions are not evolving. And here I come to the other point which I didn't see in the whole 2 days. We never discussed about laws and legislations, acts, you know. What are institutions? If you are talking about formal institutions, they are laws, acts. That is what defines an institution, you know. We can observe one thing and tell, you know, this is what is happening, but the guy who is working, I think somebody yesterday talked about the contracting process, you know. Everybody blamed the contracting rule, but he was right. Government of India wants any project to be sanctioned and follow the proper contracting model, you see. So, some call it for transparency, whatever it may be, but I think, you know, this is one aspect I think we again need to understand. But I understand, but otherwise I think, you know, when I was seeing the involvement of the stakeholders, I think there was tremendous. Like the GIS presentation, I think was amazing in the sense that the planners are supposed to do that, but it's interesting that they are not doing it. And in a way, it is also this whole, the movement that you are taking, it is also building capacities at the local level. Not only in terms of creating awareness, but also in terms of actually doing things in the field. So I think that is one, you know, important aspect I thought I'd have to tell. Yeah, you know, many a times, you know, the discussion revolved around, you know, the master plan. Yeah, we know the problem. Master plan has problem, you know. But please remember one thing: master plan is a legal document. You see, it's not. It's not. It has to be approved by the. Excuse me.
We will change it. You cannot have only the land use, but also the water use incorporated in a.
Yeah, no, we can have a. It's a. You know, we can. We need a whole day to discuss about that. But I'm only talking about. You know, when I'm saying a lot. So when I'm talking about the master plan thing, I think it is a legal document and it has a definite boundary. But when you are talking about natural resources, please remember natural resources don't follow political boundary. So when if you limit your discussion only into the master boundary level, there are problems. Especially if you are going with ecosystem services like water, air, you know, other things, you know. So one of the things, again, I go back to the GIS, you know, presentation. I think that makes a lot of sense because he divided the sector based on water basins, and I think yes. The geohydrological unit is the best unit to plan, and that is exactly the reason the government of India started the watershed schemes in 90s and 30s, though at the rural level. But I fully, because that follows what we were discussing, the groundwater level, the drainage systems, and all that type of thing. Yeah, the other thing was, it was very nice to see. See, I'm a planner, so I'm talking from a planner's perspective, right? Yeah, I think a lot of innovative things are being done. You see, there are, recycling projects, there is some, other, water recharge project. But one thing, these are all projects. When you talk about a space, when you plan a space, it has to be integrated. India has hundreds and hundreds of best practices. Every city has a best practice. Why is it that they are not getting scaled up? Why is it they are not getting translated into space? I know Bangalore, one of my friends, he's known as a Jain Rain man. We are talking about this. He individually has a house which recycles the whole thing from the waste, toilet waste, the what, and he also has a water recharge plant. And they are trying to do it, but they are still not able to do it. So my suggestion is, since it is a very innovative thing, maybe as a strategy, one can, instead of only thinking about one project, you say water, harvesting something, is it possible to scale up and say plan spatially of some unit where things are integrated? Because if at all our master plan has failed, the reason is we have not been able to integrate different components together, right? So that is one of the things. Yeah, the other thing I was a little bit talking about, since you see, one of the problem in India, which I was talking to you about, see, we don't have a regional land use plan. Now, if you want to integrate, resources like water, forest and other things. We need to have a land use. See, look at any other country, the Western countries. Every country has a national level state land use plan. But India doesn't have. Now, if you don't have, and they have demarcated areas which is called urbanizable, not urbanizable, and taking water basins as the criteria. So if we don't have a regional plan, process, I think the chances of success of master plan is very, very limited. Yeah, the other important thing about the comment that again came up from the observation was, again taking back from the GIS thing, one of the problem of India's planning process is very weak information base. You see, if you see the UN Habitat ranking of India's cities, it is one of the lowest, you see, in terms of information. So if you don't have information, what are you planning? Right? I remember China, they have a city level, this city domestic product information, income information. So we may criticize China from many respects, but the extent of the way things are being done, it is very, very different. So I think one of the challenges is how do you collate information, how do you update it, continuously. That is very, very important. And I again go back to that. If you can't even relate the revenue map with the the town planning map, then there's certainly calls for a little bit more introspection. Oh, yes, and I think regarding the commissioner, I think he made a very sincere comment and he realized the problem. You see, one of the things he also talked about information, and he said, and I think that was also to do with the previous example. In a place, and think about the developer, situation and other things. If your information, critical information with land and other things are not publicly available, there is every possibility of manipulating and blackmailing that information. Right? So if you don't have information in a public domain, how do you check it? And believe me, all planning systems in the world over is robust only because the public can see the information. You see? So therefore we are talking about a big gap in terms of information. And I see that this transdisciplinary group has that potential at least to initiate a initiative where the information is publicly available. The commissioner basically talked about, interesting thing was about recruitment of the people, and as I said, it's a problem, you see, but it doesn't confine only to the lower level. It has to go right up to the higher level. Incompetence is not limited to people who are at the lower level. I think, and that is exactly the reason. If you remember the Jawaharlal Nehru Urban Renewal Mission, they had a special program called capacity building. Now, people can, criticize the way things are, but at least there was a recognition of the fact that our municipalities and planning authorities are limited in terms of capacity. So how do you ensure it? I think forums like yours can certainly do it. And of course, he also said about, the individual driven initiative, and that is very, very true. Urban local bodies are driven by the type of officers you get. And of course, this is discussion about the Gurgaon city, but I again still repeat, Gurgaon doesn't remain in isolation. Just to give you an example, there is a major problem these days with solid waste disposal. And what city, now, Gurgaon doesn't have land. Where will it dispose? It will either dispose in the village or in an area which is the boundary of some other city. So what basically I think one needs to do is, and that is why the relevance of the regional plan, can cities combine together when they are planning for resources like water? If you individually see, only Gurgaon, forgetting Faridabad and other places and all that, believe me, I think that's a very, very, very narrow way of looking at a particular resource. I'm just completing, sorry. And you also know that, think about Gurgaon. Gurgaon didn't even have a municipal corporation for a long time. That itself shows that the level of institutional innovations that we give. So I think, there are many other things to tell, but I'll just end this. So on the whole, I think this was a very, very enriching experience, and to understand Gurgaon's overall water thing. But I think a very, very positive initiative. I think there are a lot of I think this movement can really be taken up, and you can really make a difference. And I thought that maybe Dinesh bhai, you are already doing it. I think as a team, maybe there is a need to process document this, right from the beginning that you started this initiative, and I don't know how long the project will continue, but maybe people will take it over. But if you process document this, I think many other cities will have possibility to learn from your experience. Citizens initiative can learn from your experience, and therefore it can be useful. And maybe, if there are some PhD scholars or MPhil scholars, they can be interested in the task to, take up as a documentation. I don't, documentation itself is not research, but certainly that could be the information base and put it, and that will be useful. Lastly, you see, of course, when I say this, again, there are problems, but again, municipal finance is a major issue. It's good to have a list of, projects and all that, but how do you finance it? It is not only about capital expenditure. I'm also talking about revenue. In Indian cities, most of the time you create infrastructure, and after the, a project is completed, there is nobody to maintain it. So I think if you are really talking about sustainable water management, sustainable resource management, I think these are some of the issues that I see can be relevant. And since it is a forum that has brought in different stakeholders, I thought if you can additionally bring people who are expert in municipal finance, developers and all that, that will really enrich the whole process. Thank you.